Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of April 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Pagan Otherworlds Tarot for you today. Before we begin, if the reading resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is the first link down in the description box. The second link in the description box is to the 6-month overview that I did for each of the signs. That runs from January to June 2023, so obviously we're about halfway through that period now. I have reduced the prices accordingly, so if you haven't had a chance and you would like to see what that time frame has in store for you, please do check it out. And the final link is to my private community, the Order of the Phoenix, over on Circle. We have an extraordinary group of people, which is awesome. You also get all extended access to all of the extendeds for no extra cost, and that's all extended content that I do. And we've started running classes and stuff over there now as well, so it's really starting to gain some momentum, which is absolutely awesome. If that sounds like something you might be interested in, please do feel free to avail yourself of that link. Now, Scorpio, let's have a look and see what's going on with you. 3 cards for Scorpio. So, in your recent past, we have the 8 of Wands. Nice. Current energy for Scorpio, please. Whoa. We have the 2 of Cups. That's an interesting card. And then what's coming towards... Thank you. We have the 10 of Wands and the Hanged Man together. That seems remarkable, actually. Because there's such a... I almost felt like I deflated, but not in a bad way, just in a kind of relaxing sort of way. You've got the 5 of Swords and the 3 of Cups at the bottom of the deck here. And I wonder if Scorpio, I don't know, there seems to be an emphasis on relationships. I don't mean like love relationships, although they might be cropping up too. It feels more like community relationships, the bonds that you're forging with, dare I say it, your tribe. It feels very nice indeed. Let's give these a quick swizz over here. Do the thing. Right, let's get some clarifiers. Why is the 8 of Wands here for Scorpio, please? Thank you. We have the Knight of Pentacles, that's Virgo in the Minor Arcana. And we have, what do we have there? The Chariot, for sure. That's Cancer in the Major Arcana there. Tell me about the 2 of Cups. Why is this here for Scorpio? I've got 2... Oh, let me flip this around so I can bitch about the positioning of the camera. Honestly, I swear to God. Let's move that. We have the 8 of Wands again, and we have the 3 of Wands. And then tell me about this 10 of Wands and Hanged Man. 10 of Wands again. We have the Moon. And we have the Queen of Swords with the 4 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Now, this is really feeding into this feeling that I have of there being a focus on the collective, a focus on the group. It feels like a focus on something that you have been putting together, because this 4 of Wands is we talk about it in terms of a creation of a new foundation, right? And it's one that is designed to help people get out of the rut. You know, we talk about the 5 of Swords in terms of being stuck in cognitive loops, and sometimes we can talk about it being, verbal sparring, arguments and rowing with people, right? But I think it's quite interesting in this card, excuse me, from the Pagan Otherworlds, because we've got a distinct separation here, right? It draws you to the separation. So what we have here is the 2 of Swords, and the 2 of Swords, as you know, is that which we do not see, but that which we cannot see, because often we choose not to see it, or because our subconscious is in the way, right? And then we've got a movement on to the 3 of Swords. We've got an addressing of pain, right? A realization of pain. It feels to me like you're creating a space for people to explore what it is that they do not see, and come to a point of truth. I mean, whenever Scorpio energy is involved, it's pretty fucking intense. We know this. It's really, really intense. But it also tends to be very straightforward, very direct, and very true, right? You've got a habit of getting straight to the heart of the matter with things. And I feel like this is what is going on here, is this setting up of a space. Now, not all of you are going to be leading community groups or anything like that. It could be that this is you taking the lead within a family situation where you can see that, you know, perhaps there are even things that you can't see. Seems unlikely, to be honest, Scorpio, but that there is a need for healing in a group environment. And because you are sensitive to the things that are coming up, like, you are best placed to be able to guide this, direct this. And I think this is quite interesting because last month, I can't even remember what I called your reading last month, but there was a sense of a huge personal shift that was occurring. I can't even remember beyond that what it was. It was a huge personal shift. And when we change things inside of ourselves, we start to change the landscape outside of ourselves too. And your focus does seem to be on other people. It's on deep and meaningful relationships that you have on a one-to-one basis. But it's also forming this emotional support network for other people. And I get more of a sense of you being, for the want of a better phrase, in charge of this, creating this, instigating this, creating the space for this to happen, than I do of you kind of trotting along behind somebody else who's doing it. And this feels very, very much like it's you doing this. So we've got this Eight of Wands here. And it talks about communication, and it could well be that there has been lines of communication that have been opened. But we've also got this sense of the wands coming into land on something. Now, it could be that there's information that you've been waiting for that came in recently, and that would be a good thing if that's what it was. But it's more like this, what I was talking about last month, right? This shift that has occurred in you. It's like you've got all of the information that you need. I'm almost getting kind of magician vibes off this Eight of Wands, which is kind of weird, but there it is. Because we've got the Knight of Pentacles and we've got the Chariot. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, like I said, is Virgo energy. And whenever we're talking about Virgo energy, there is an attention to detail, but there is also an attention to the environment. And so this is absolutely feeding into what I've been feeling about this here. But it's like knowing what is important, knowing what is the right way forwards. It's coming from a highly intuitive place for you. But it feels like it's as a result of what has come in. Now, when I talk about getting information, I mean, it could be you got an email, or it could be somebody came and knocked on your door and said, oh, Scorpio, did you know this thing? Or it could be coming from somewhere less tangible than that. And that would be an unusual thing for you. But I think the extent to which you allow yourself to be moved by it and what it is that you choose to do as a result of that is a level beyond, or has been a level beyond, where you would usually be comfortable. As the Chariot card talks about balance, and it talks about polarities and duality and all that kind of thing, right? But it also talks about achieving this point of balance, right? Being the fulcrum in a situation. Because you've got a goal. You might not have exactly the end destination in mind, but you certainly have a direction of travel. And it seems like you have committed to this so hard. Your faith in it is so true. So as to be completely immovable on it. Nobody's going to come along and knock you off this direction of travel. We've got the Ten of Pentacles there. What do we have here? And the Eight of Swords in reverse. It does feel like you have been set free by something, because the Eight of Swords is about mental restriction. Often the biggest realization that we can have is that we hold ourselves back. And when we actually acknowledge the ways that we have held ourselves back, and we throw ourselves into it because we see the value of what it is that we're trying to create, you are literally unstoppable. So there's nothing here holding you back anymore. But we've got this Ten of Pentacles here, another sense of a goal, of something that you're wanting to achieve. But we've also got this collective element to it. I mean, just look at that. Some of you might literally just be starting to work with ancestors. Right? We've got this huge fucking team in the background here. And at this point, it's difficult to know whether the two characters that are sitting here, sorry about the light, it's making it kind of difficult, are even aware of all of the people that are sitting behind them. They sense the support, but they're engaged on a one-on-one thing here. It's the collective, it's the happy family. It feels like somebody's pulled the pin. Somebody, you, Scorpio, have pulled the pin on yourself. And it's complete investment. Now, when we move into your current energy, we've got the Two of Cups. Like one-on-one relationships, very, very important for you this month. Because we've got the Eight of Wands again. It feels like the momentum is really starting to build now. You know, when the Three of Wands comes along, we have got movement. We have got action in a particular direction. The Two of Wands is about the, can either be a crossroads energy or more like the way that I've seen it in the last probably 4 months, is that noticing where it is that our power actually lies, where it is that our autonomy and our sovereignty actually lie. It isn't necessarily in the huge life decisions that we make. Right, I'm going to up sticks and I'm going to move to another continent or something like that. It's actually in the tiny decisions that you make every single day. And it feels like there's been such an adjustment of the way that you approach relationships. And relationships are critically important to you this month. Because the information hasn't stopped coming in yet. Right? We thought it was all hitting. We thought that was the big change. Right now we're going to go off and do the thing. But actually, like, it's still coming. More and more and more and more as you become more open to it. So the information is coming in. It puts me in mind of something I posted on my Instagram once, and it said, when you're open to the message, everyone and everything is a messenger. And I was like, that's bang on. That is absolutely bang on. Because there are some things that I notice other people don't notice, and I'll be literally sat there with my mouth open, hearing about like the mystical fucking so I can't even think of the word that I'm looking for. It's not consequences, it's implications. There we go. The implications of the fact that I don't know, a magpie just came and looked at me, or you know, like I found a frog in my kitchen once. Doesn't sound like a bizarre thing, but like frogs are a very important animal to me in terms of what they symbolise. And in order to get into the kitchen, this frog was going to have had to have scaled a 7-foot wall. Doesn't seem very likely, you know. Even when I was back in my old house, you know, and sometimes I would do a reading, and it was probably even for you, Scorpio. I'd do a reading, and then suddenly there would just be this concert of crows all cawing at the same time. I'd be like, yes, thank you. I've had confirmation from the universe on that one. I've just picked up the last card of this, and it's the Eight of Wands again. Like, if there is an energy that is defining this period for you, it is the Eight of Wands, over and over again. The information just keeps coming. The energy is building. And maybe that's what you're doing here. Maybe you're building the energy. Your investment is such in whatever your community is, whether that is a group of friends, whether it's a group of people that you're working with. It's climbing and climbing and climbing. And as it's coming up, there is more and more information here. The sense of momentum driving forwards so that you can continue on what very important work it seems to me that you're doing at the moment is really, really strong. And like I said, it doesn't have to be you in charge of a coven or you in charge of, you know, XYZ. I mean, it feels like you're hurtling towards the point, if I can put it that way. Yeah, tell me about this Two of Cups. We've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the Nine of Swords in reverse. And we've got the Magician. And of course, the Eight of Wands has now made it to the bottom of the pile. Right? There's a lack of fear. There's a total lack of fear. And Scorpios, for the longest time, have come from a place of fear. Not intentionally. It's a byproduct of trying to keep so much of yourself protected from the rest of the world. But Scorpio, it feels like you're casting aside the cloak and being all like, hey, universe, this is what I am. And everybody's like, oh my God, such mysticism, many wow, You are so powerful at the moment. You can manifest exactly what it is that you want. You could probably manifest even more than that. I love this Magician. And it's like you're here, you're showing up. And more than anything else, you're showing up for everyone. Often in your deepest relationships, there's a fear that if you open up too much, then you would allow access to someone. You would allow access to a place that has belonged to only you, right? And it's been a place of pain, it's been a place of fear, it's been a place of, please don't fucking hurt me anymore, right? So we locked that off and we threw away the key and we don't let anybody in there. Almost don't let yourself in there. But the process that you have undergone in this last year, and I think it is a year, God, might even be 2 now actually, all the fucking years are all merging together, might be 2, is to get to yourself to a place where not only are you prepared to go back down there and open the door and fling it open, you're prepared to walk into the room. Oh, I saw that in the meditation before I started the reading. There was a doorway with a closed door that then opened. But you're also willing to go in there and pull out what is important, like the stuff that you actually know, right? So you're looking through it all, but you're bringing it up to the surface and you're saying, everybody else, you need to have a look at this too, because I've got some fucking banging wisdom in here and I need to share it. I need to help you all with it. Like, there's such a drive to be of service here, Scorpio. But it feels very specific. It feels like you've been seized with an idea, or almost you've developed an understanding of what it is that your soul is driving forwards at this point. And there's no room for you to not invest everything that you have, because it's too fucking important not to. And so your one-on-one relationships are absolutely getting the benefit of it, but like, so are your wider relationships too. You seem to be so focused on building right now, whether it's building the stability of relationships, building community, building something. I think it's absolutely insane how many people I have spoken to just in the last 2 weeks who have all become seized with the idea of intentional communities. It's bonkers, and it's not limited to one sign either. It's right across the board. And everybody that turns up has been like, I want to do this thing. It's not everyone, but it's probably about 80% of the personal readings that I've done in the last 2 weeks have been covering this kind of thing. It's this sense that it is time. You know, what might have been a vague thought at some point has now been kicked up a gear, and we're seeing it here. And now it's about how you manifest that. So what we've got coming towards you in April is the Ten of Wands and the Hanged Man. Pisces energy here. I want to remind you, Saturn has just moved into Pisces as well. And the Ten of Wands talks about burden. Yeah, we've got it down here twice. It talks about things being just a little bit too difficult. Kind of back-breaking work. But the other thing that I see when I see this card is somebody who is going about things the wrong way. The interesting thing is, Scorpio, I do not feel like that is you. I feel like this is actually the wisdom that you are bringing to the situation. Just as this Five of Swords feels like it belongs to other people, what we've got here is you creating a supportive network whereby people get to put the fucking wands down. You are helping people achieve a different perspective on things. Because the path that everybody seems to be needing to walk now is that of the moon. And things have been getting more and more uncertain as the days passed, and I don't know about you, but they're starting to feel very fucking surreal indeed. It's almost like it's a shitty example, but you know when you see cardboard boxes, right? They're very dense cardboard. It's been pressed and compressed so that it makes like super strong cardboard, and then it gets a bit wet, and you start to see all the layers start to separate. I even like CDs. I was going through some CDs the other day, being like, why have I still got these? You know, but when they get old and they get warm or they get wet and all that sort of thing, they start to separate as well. And you start to see what has been very dense and compressed so that it looks like one thing, right? And maybe that one thing is reality. As it's getting wet or it's getting warm or whatever it is, and these layers are starting to separate out, you're like, oh, what the fuck? There's so much in here that comes to create this one thing, and all the layers are starting to separate out now. Where does it stop? The opportunities in between all of those layers, we can perhaps do a thing, we can make a thing. And some people are sitting at the top up here, top level of separation. Others are sitting it down here and going like, what the fuck? Everything's starting to separate, everything's starting to pull apart. But you are looking for new ways to bring people together. And so the path of the moon is the one that we are all walking. Who better to be a guide than someone intimately acquainted with the dark, Scorpio? Because everybody feels better when they know what's going on. Everybody feels better when they know what's happening. You know, think of the difference in terms of the level of detail that we can perceive when the sun is shining versus even a full moon. The full moon can be incredibly bright, but it doesn't show you everything. The shadows move differently. Things get this, you know, big hulking kind of perspective on it. I remember, there've been so many times when I've woken up in the middle of the night, you know, and there's been something. I was staying at a friend's house once, and I got a bit drunk. I did get a bit drunk, and I woke up in the middle of the night and in the bed in her spare room, and there had been a bunch of flowers that had died. Like they were old. A bunch of flowers on the windowsill, and when I looked at it in the middle of the night, it looked like a big raggedy angel. And it was so weird. I spent hours staring at it, and I couldn't see it as being anything other than a big raggedy angel. Until the sun started to come up, and then it was completely apparent that it was just a withered and old bunch of flowers. Anyway, my point is, the people around you are as the crayfish. They're coming out here, and they've got this path to walk. And it starts off kind of flat, but it's headed towards mountains. Things are going to get difficult, but where you are an absolute blessing to all who know you is that you can bring that to an end, because that's what the Ten of Wands does talk about. By changing somebody's perspective, you can show them that the things that they are carrying, the ways in which they are making their life difficult, are not necessary. It's not a necessary thing. Maybe part of that is moving in faith and moving in trust, but more than that, it's you being a guide, Scorpio. being willing to be a guide, being willing to put yourself forwards and out there for the benefit of other people, helping them sort through in these illusory, uncertain conditions what is important. Because you've already isolated that. You know what is important. And that pentacle is something that you're holding up in front of you and carrying forwards. A lot of other people don't. They might feel the pull, but they cannot understand what is happening here. Because you could say, oh, well, it's just the banks are failing and there's fucking war everywhere, and a few weeks ago it was aliens, though they seem to have disappeared again, which is fine. But there's something bigger going on here, Scorpio, and I think anybody who has got an ounce of sensitivity at all can feel it. I'm not going to, descend into hyperbole, and well, I might. It feels like a spiritual war is underway at the moment. And an old version of Scorpio would have gathered up the few people that they felt a loyalty to, and you would have blended back into the shadows. We just wait this one out in the dark. What's happened to you and what it is that you are now doing is there is a willingness to go, I know the way towards the light, and I'm going to stand here and let you see me, guide you towards that. When everything descends into chaos and it is difficult to know what is true and what is not, who better to navigate the chaos than Scorpio? You're stepping up to be a leader here. But it's a very, very particular kind of leader. This is not leadership for leadership's sake. This is, I know exactly where you are, and I know that you're frightened, and I know you don't really know where you're going. But I've got this landscape mapped out like the back of my hand is how I know this. Let's go this way. I think it was with you last month that there was this feeling that I was getting off you, that the more things became chaotic outside of you, the more fucking zen you seem to be becoming inside. I was just like, yeah, this is fucking built for this. Ah, this Queen of Swords. What do we have here? The Knight of Swords. And the Ten of Wands again. How many times? Four of Swords and the Three of Wands. Like, the Three of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck. Like, your mission is to help, because others cannot navigate this chaos. They don't have the clarity of thought. They don't have the clarity of vision. They're not so intimately acquainted with themselves and the darker sides of themselves that they can manage to do what you do so effortlessly. And like I said, a previous version of you would have taken care of you and yours, and just faded back into the shadows. But that's not happening here. You got a message, Scorpio, and you need to you need to communicate it, because your mission seems to be bringing peace to people. In whatever way that is happening for you at the moment, like I said, whether that's just with your family, or whether it's with your group of friends, whether it's with clients, or whether it, in some ways, and I think this is probably likely for some of you, there's some spiritual beacon that has been lit above your head and people are coming to you and they're like, Scorpio, how the fuck is it that you're so zen right now? And you're like, let me show you the ways. And this sense of building a community, online, physically, wherever it is, really fucking strong, because you understand that it is only by working together that we get through this. Everybody's got a piece of the puzzle, Somebody that I care about very, very deeply, died a couple of years ago, told me that. She said those words to me and she was correct. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle. No one person can do it all for themselves. Community is what we need to survive. And as the layers are starting to peel apart, we have to find a way to connect that is different to what we have done before. There's something very life purpose, very life mission about this, Scorpio. And I feel like you probably feel that too. This is fucking amazing. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to go over to Vimeo if this has resonated with you and you would like to dig into what April has in store specifically. You're very welcome to come and join me over there, or you can come and join Circle, wherever you like. But if that's not your bag, that's absolutely fine. You just keep doing what you're doing, Scorpio, because it is so fucking necessary, and you know that. You know, I feel like you feel the pull, you feel the push, however it's manifesting inside you. You know, there is a task for you to do here. It's like, head down, get it done. I think it's fucking magnificent. So, know that I love you all so very much, and I'll see you soon.